Okay, so welcome back again, everyone. For those who are joining us for the first time, welcome back. Welcome to the iLoveLessons website. We are going to be journeying with POB this evening. And for the rest of the 4 weeks, we'll be looking at the principles of business syllabus. We are starting from the Form 4, right? And those who are not so new, I'm seeing some familiar names here. Yes, welcome. My name is Miss Minard, and I will be your POB teacher during this time. So just some notes before we actually start the session is, you all are free to download the syllabus. It is accessible online. But when you all start the September term, right, you all could get access to a wide range of the POB materials that is inclusive of a soft copy of the textbook, notes, videos, the syllabus, past papers, just name it. We have some activities. We are trying not to make any of the business subjects a boring one, and it is never a boring one. So we are going to be looking at a lot of activities during the 4 weeks, and when we start the September term, we will be continuing with those activities. So I am not going to recommend a textbook for POB because there's a lot on the market for the POB subject, right? So what you all can do is to put your hands on a POB textbook during this time. And I would suggest that you all use the notes that I provide to you all via online, via the recordings. If you all refer back to the website, you all will get all the recordings during this time. We would also have, I'll try to get a soft copy uploaded. I am going to try to create a Google Classroom for you all to actually get easy access to these materials as well. And at the end of the term, I will be assessing you guys to see how you all have performed so that we can journey into our next phase, which is term 1 of POB. Okay, so again, welcome and enjoy. So we have here section 1, which is the nature of business. We are looking at the early economies, right? So what you all should note is that with this subject, it ties back very well into the other business subject areas. For example, accounts, as well as economics. So think of this subject as a stepping stone, really and truly, to help you all understand the other subject areas. When you study something in POB, you're going to see it again in economics. So we're looking at economics here. Just get to it. So we have here a very bold heading, the economic problem. So we are looking at the economic problem, but before we do, let's just talk about what a business is, because we are looking at principles of business. So what is a business? Anybody want to give it a try? What you understand by the term business? What is a business? In layman terms, I come on the road and I meet you and hey, what's a business? What do you think a business is? A company, good. I'm seeing some answers. A company selling goods, products, good. So for those who are answering via Zoom right now, your answers are correct. For those who are logging into YouTube, have an idea what a business is, because when we are looking at business activities, you will be familiar with some terms that you will see businesses that they do, what activities they conduct, what is their nature, right? And I'm seeing some good answers here coming up from you all. Yes, it's all activities concerning, the production, the consumption of goods and services. Yes, to satisfy our needs and wants. So that is why a business is really established to satisfy needs and wants of whom? Consumers. Yeah. So very good. I'm seeing some answers here. So it's all about goods and services, right? Now, what is the aim? Or I should say, what is the goal of a business? What is that one word I'm looking for? What is it? Right? So I'm seeing Armani, I'm seeing Celine. Hi, Celine. I am seeing some good answers here. Profits. That is the aim of all businesses, to make a profit. But you think it's that easy? You think I could just open a business just like that and assume I'm going to make a profit by the next month? Chances are yes, depending on your research on the population, ensuring that you have a good clientele, making sure that you have good quality good or a service that you are providing. But if you are an infant industry that you now starting to open up, you don't know if consumers will like your service or your good that you're providing, or let's say it's difficult to get our resources to the business to provide the good or service to the consumers, then we may have a problem. And guess what? It's not just our problem. It's an economic problem whereby we will see it difficult to make profits at the start of opening up a business. So hence the reason in this first slide, we have this bold term called the economic problem. And the good thing is, when you look at the subject economics, you are going to see the same sort of information. So let's just say economics and POB, they work hand in hand. Economics is a little bit more advanced. Economics is more advanced. But the POB, on the other hand, it simplifies what you need to know, the basic part of the economic activities, right? And please be reminded that all this information is going to be posted in the iLoveLessons website. I'm resending it to you guys via the chat. Please note that the school's website is www.ilovelessons.com/recorded-classes. You can get all the recordings there. So you don't need to write it down. You can just play it as many times as possible, as well as on YouTube, right? So you can just subscribe to get all the updates for all the recorded classes, right? So we're going back to the economic problem. So we're saying that our unlimited needs and wants far exceed the limited resources available to satisfy our needs. So, I mean, that's sounding like a little Greek, a little bit, right? I'm sure you all might be asking, limited resources, what does that have to do with business? Well, if you look at the bigger picture, all businesses will have to get some type of resource to actually operate. And if those resources are limited to satisfy our needs and wants, far less they may not be able to satisfy needs and wants of consumers. And that problem is because of this second term you're seeing here on this slide, scarcity. And you will see this term again in economics come tomorrow, please God. So scarcity is the fundamental economic problem of having seemingly unlimited human wants in a world of limited resources. It states that society has insufficient productive resources to fulfill all human wants and needs. So imagine you have unlimited wants. I would want to get, cars for different occasions. When I want to go different places, I want to have different types of cars, vehicles, but Miss kind of don't have that kind of finances. So my resource is kind of low, right? I can't have multiple cars for different venues and different activities, right? Some of you, I show you all could afford it. but in a general picture, when we look at the economic problem, is because our human wants is so unlimited. There's no limit to what we want. We want everything. But when we have limited resources, we have that problem of scarcity, right? So plain and simple, we have this term called scarcity. So scarcity leads to choice. So I can't have multiple cars for different areas, but I can just say, you know what? Let me get one car that could take me to different places, right? It can't just take me to work and back home because it might shut down if I go movie town, Port of Spain, or movie town, South Park. I might have a problem there. So I can't say I want a car that bogus and it can't take me anywhere. So I might want to make a choice that, hey, I'm going to look for a car that could take me practically everywhere. So I have to make a choice because of my limited resource of money, money being my limited resource. So scarcity will lead to choice, whereby we have to make decisions between several choices. Another example is having to make choices at the grocery store. I'm sure you all want to pick up everything in the grocery store, especially if you all are shopping with your parents. Back in the days, you know, they would get a belt going to the grocery store with you, right? If you pick up anything besides what is on the list, right? So we have to always be mindful of making choices, right? And making the right choice too. So this is all taking place within the economy where all economic activities will take place. And this is where we as consumers will interact with the government, will also interact with the international sector, right? So we have this information that is very important to note. If you all have any questions, please feel free to message me on the chat. I will see how best I can answer it while I am presenting these slides. Okay, so the next slide is very important because it's actually going to introduce what we are aiming for, to be our own bosses. We want to be the owners of a business. We want to have our own money. We want to be able to take out risks, be creative. We want anyone telling us what to do at an extent where, you know, let me just get, sorry, hold on, you guys. Yes, as I was saying, so we want to be able to have our own business eventually. And to have that, we have these two terms here, enterprise and entrepreneurship. And no, I am not talking about enterprise in Trinidad as in the geographical location, just near Chagonas. No, enterprise meaning a business. This is used to describe an undertaking of an activity with some degree of difficulty or risk. So you see, we have our enterprise, we have our business, we have to take out some type of risk to, you know, make the business work, right? This undertaking has specific purpose, such as monetary goals. And we spoke about the monetary goals as an aim for a business. The main aim of a business, or the main objective of a business, is to make a profit. So that is your monetary goals. So enterprise can also mean initiatives which is daring to do something new or different, challenging or risky. You know, we have creative thinkers. So think of what you are you're creative in. Capitalize on it. Have your own business. But before you do that, we have different terms here in POB and different topics that will teach you how to start your business, right? You'll have to know how to market the product. You have to know how to finance the business. So this journey here of POB, I'm going to try to make it as enticing and as fun as possible because it is. We just have to know with these different topic areas, it's going to teach you how you will operate your own business, right? And then we have entrepreneurship. So it's the practice of identifying a new innovation or opportunity, organizing the financing and other resources, and taking the risk in the hope of creating wealth. The entrepreneur is the individual who identifies the opportunity and risk, the time and money to start to organize the new adventure. So think of enterprise as the business and entrepreneurship as the activity of creating that wealth, what you have to do to create that wealth in the business. So the act of combining all the other factors of production will be done by the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the person who will own the business, right? So I'm going to repeat because I know these terms could be a little confusing. So we have enterprise and we have entrepreneurship. Enterprise is the business, entrepreneurship is the activities of running your own business. What would you do? You would have to combine all the different factors of production, which is land, labor, capital, and the entire business with the aim of creating profits, right? So let me just have an idea that these two terms are understood by everyone in the classroom. Just by some raise of hands, thumbs up. Yes. Awesome. Great. So we are continuing. If you all have any questions, please feel free to message in the chat. So we're going to go to some additional explanations here. So again, if you all have any questions, please write them down. Any specific questions, write them down, and you all can message them in the chat, or if by replaying this recording on YouTube and you have a question or a little difficult area, please write them down so by the next class you all could ask me. So we have a new term called barter. Now I know some of you all are familiar with the material that I'm presenting here for those who are in Form 5 or repeaters. But for those who are new, we have a term called barter, which is the exchange of goods or services for other goods or services without the use of money. So we have barter where we're not using actual cash. We are probably going to trade some goods for another good or service, right? So these disadvantages that we are seeing here on this slide, which we have it as 5 points here, a double coincidence of what? You think by having a barter system where I'm going to exchange my pen for your expensive textbook, you think that could work out good? No. An individual's wants have to match the wants of his bartering partner, right? So that is why we're a double coincidence of wants. You have to know at least what's the word I'm looking for? A similar exchange. You have to know what you're exchanging. Your monetary value must be the same monetary value of the other person. But again, we are not using money. We are using items. We could be using, different commodities to trade for one another, right? So we will see that bartering doesn't really exist now in the real world. We use money transactions, and eventually you all will see why they disregarded bartering as a form of activity in the real world. Another reason is because the rate of exchange. It could be difficult to be decided upon. So there must be an agreement of goods to be exchanged. When you're exchanging your good for another good from someone else, it must be at least an agreement between the two parties. The third disadvantage of bartering is that some goods are not divisible. So some rates of exchange make it impossible to trade because some goods cannot be divided into smaller parts. You cannot divide some goods into smaller parts. Could you all think of some examples of that? Where I can't give you half of something because by the time you give me half, it just destroys the entire good itself. Yeah, a car, I've seen some, so I can't split a car in half and say, hey, you take that, and no, a computer. Yeah, you could do a computer, right? A house, right? Good. So I've seen some good answers here from you guys, right? So it is sometimes impossible to divide or cut something in half, give it to someone else, and expect to get something in return. They will just watch you like you're going mad, right? The number 4 disadvantage of bartering is that goods are bulky and difficult to transport. Plain and simple, right? And the 5th one, the store value. So some goods are perishable and cannot be stored for a long period of time. Like what? What cannot be stored for a long period of time? Well, I like meat, so I know I can't have meat, right? You see, I'm watching the chat and everybody's saying meat. Yes, we thinking alike. Good. So we can't store vegetables for a long period of time, right? So the store value is going to be a disadvantage of the bartering system. Okay. So because of all of these disadvantages, and thank you for your answers, everyone, we are going to develop a solution from this whole bartering system. So the development of instruments of exchange. So to solve many of the bartering problems, a system of money was developed. So today, money does not just come in the form of notes and coins. It also includes, and we have a list here that you all could take a read of for those who are adults who may be familiar with, responsibilities of a credit card. It's a form of money that you have in a card form. For those who know about debit cards and checks, we have some terms here besides money that we can use to exchange a good for money. We can use money to get the good, right? So just give me a second. All right. So if you all have any questions, you all can message me. So you all can just take a read of the different instruments of exchange for the time being. All right. So because we have this development of money because of the whole problems of bartering, we have to now try to understand, well, how did money actually develop? How did we get around to actually discarding barter and using money? So let me go into a little history now. This is not history class, but we're going into a little history of the development of money. So we say that money can be defined as anything that is generally acceptable in settling a debt obligation. For example, coins, banknotes, paper notes, etc. Right? We using money to purchase goods, it allows us the purchasing power to get goods, to purchase them. We using a credit card to buy your groceries, put fuel in your car. We're using all of these means of getting the good. But how did it develop? How did this money develop? Well, we've seen some pointers here. The drawbacks of barter led to the development of money. Traditionally, cowrie shells, cattle, salt, sugar were used as money. So imagine back in the days, they were using this as money. Precious metals were used, right? But it became burdensome and heavy. The goldsmith kept the gold while issuing receipts to precious metal owners to represent the value of gold owned. And then it went to the owner would present the receipt when the gold was required. So he have to present now the receipt when the gold was required. The bearer of the receipt would be paid the gold. And then eventually the goldsmith started to issue smaller denominations. So instead of having a large amount of gold, he created smaller denominations for the gold. So receipts now became a representation of money. The goldsmith then became a banker, and the amount of money exceeded the amount of gold or silver in the reserve due to loans being given, on which led to greater economic activity. And the central bank then took over the issuing of money to stabilize the economy, right? So a little history of money, just food for thought. They may not even ask you this in the exam, but just food for thought. This is how money really came about, right? So you don't need to know every process here, you guys. I just wanted to just fit this in so you all will know that we get rid of the bartering system and we are sticking with money transactions. For Eve, I've seen some questions here, seeing some Bitcoin questions. So Bitcoin is a form of money, it's not going to be bartering, but it will be an instrument of exchange, yes. Yeah, so I'm just waiting to see if you all have any more questions. None so far, so I'm going on to the next slide. So we're going to say the characteristics of money. And basically, the entire point here, the point here on this slide, this is what money should be able to do. So the characteristics of money, this is what money should be able to do. It must be easily acceptable, divisible, portable, durable, non-counterfeit, and it must be homogeneous in nature. So we want to accept money. Now, acceptability. You all know with the new notes issued by the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago is that we have, what is the name of the notes that we use? It's a different texture. What is the name of it? You all know? Polymer. Good, right? You think I could go and use an old $5 bill and or $10 bill or $20 bill and go and purchase? No, right? Anything? No, it is not acceptable. So money needs to be acceptable. It must be divisible. You must be able to break down money into smaller denominations. It must be easily portable to be transported, right? Non-counterfeitability, meaning you cannot duplicate a $100 bill by copying it or printing it all from the internet, right? So non-counterfeitability, money should have all of these features on it to determine if it is a counterfeit or not. And I hope you all know, back in my past careers, you'll have to detect if it's a counterfeit by just placing a marker on the $100 note. But because we are Trinidadians, right? We have different ways of actually knowing if our $100 bill is counterfeit. And there are different ways, looking at the watermark, the feel of the money, right? All of these things will allow you to now determine if it is a legit bill or not. So we have these characteristics. So there are no questions in the chat. Going on to the next slide. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. So everything will be again on YouTube, so you all could easily access it there. So we have here the functions of money. So this is what money must be able to do. Money must perform these functions, which is there must be a medium of exchange, which is a commonly accepted form of payment for goods and services. Money must have a unit of account. So you want to know the price of something. Let's say the price of a car is $500,000. The price of a home is 2 point something million or 1 point something million. We put a value to those items, right? So that's what we mean by a unit of account. So money must be able to tell us the value of different goods as well as services. Money must have a store of value whereby you save your money for future use. You don't spend out your entire income or your entire allowance. You want to save for future use. And money must be a means of deferred payments where you can actually use money via credit means, credit purchases. So let's say, for example, I want to use my credit card. My credit card is not for free. I use the credit card. That means at the end of the month, I have to pay back the bank the money. But I can make payments, but I have to owe the bank later on. I have to pay them back, right? Deferred payments could also mean I can purchase something here now, and instead of me paying the full amount for it, I can just pay half and then pay off the rest as installments for the next few months, right? We have this here being another function of money, right? Yes. So we have a common term that I know you all would have heard, not just in POB, but you all will see it on the news, in the newspaper, people talking about profits versus losses. And what is the difference is that profits is basically the surplus, right? The surplus of funds, which remain after all expenses have been covered. Basically, it is the total revenue exceeding total cost, right? So think of profits being you getting more money than what you actually spent. I received more than what I actually spent. That is a profit. A loss, on the other hand, is a situation which exists when total sales are not enough to cover all expenses. All right? So think of a loss where we spend so much money that we were not able to receive anything. So a loss is when you spend more than what you actually receive. Basically, it is the total cost of production exceeding total revenue. So I'm just seeing in the chat, so profit is a financial gain and loss is the amount of money. Loss is the amount of money lost by a business. Yes, our money, that is correct. That's a good way to put it as well. Right? Let's move on. we have here some other definitions, like trade, which is the process of buying and selling. So business engage in trade to make a profit. We have this term called organization, which is the provision and coordination of the firm's inputs to achieve the goals and objectives of the firm. We have the term economy, which is the system within a country which determines the production, exchange, and consumption of goods and services, right? So these are just some definitions that you all could note at this time. And we have some more here, which is goods and services. So we say that how businesses come together to provide a good or service to consumers. So we then ask about what is a good and what's a service? Well, you know, they are different. A good is anything that is tangible in nature, whereby things like car, clothing, something that you can feel, touch, hold, that is a good. And we have different types of goods. We have free goods, whereby a good that is not scarce and available without any limits. So what is air? Air is free, right? Desert, sand, water in the ocean, all that is a free good. So natural resources, yes, are free goods. We have private goods as well, which is defined in economics as an item that yields positive benefits to people, that is excludable, meaning the owners can exercise private property rights, preventing those who have not paid for it from using the good or consuming its benefits, right? So we say a private good as excludable, whereby private entities, I'm just explaining the second bullet point under goods. We have the private entities providing private goods. We call it excludable, the goods that private entities provide, just private goods, we say it is excludable in nature, meaning if you want it, you have to pay. They cannot consume it, right? Whereas with public goods, it is non-exclusive, whereby everybody could benefit from the good, right? So with a public good, you are able to take advantage of all the goods that are being offered in the public. You can't take advantage of it. You can't use it. You do not have to pay for it, right? That is a public good. For example, bridges, roads, street lighting is a public good. We can use it. It's free of charge, basically. I mean, our taxes are paying for it, but it is readily available to the entire public. We have merit goods as well, where these are goods that when used, contributes to benefit to the wider society. So for example, education, right? So while education is a merit good, a demerit good is something that is negative to the entire society. So if somebody smokes around you or anything like that, consumption of alcohol is considered a demerit good because it have a negative impact on the society, right? So these terms here, even though it's very basic in POB at this time, and it will continue to be very basic, there are just some areas later on that, you know, you will need to get the guidance on how you go about answering questions for the exam Yes, we see a POB is a common sense subject, but there is a criteria that you have to meet for examiners. And that is the marks that are being allocated to these types of questions. So yes, we're speaking about goods. So if in the exam they ask you to define the term goods for 5 marks, are you going to just say goods are tangible products? For example, car? No, you will have to elaborate by talking about the different types of goods. Hence the reason why with POB, you need to go in depth with understanding these different terms and concepts. So we're shifting our attention away from goods, and we are going to look at now services. So services is basically opposite from goods. Services are intangible in nature, whereby they satisfy the human wants and needs, but you cannot touch it, you cannot hold it, you cannot feel it. The only thing you can do is just probably experience the service, right? So banking services, transportation services, cleaning services, insurance. We consider these services because they are intangible in nature. And there are different types of services. Direct services, which is a service that is incurred for their own sake. So you go to get a haircut or repairs to your vehicle. That's a service that we are directly experiencing. But an indirect service, the delivery of pizza. It is a service that is received along with benefiting from a direct service or good. So why did I put delivery of pizza? Not because I only love pizza, is because when I get my pizza, I want my pizza to be hot. I like my pizza extra cheesy and everything. But if they come and deliver my pizza and it is cold and it's hard like cardboard, you think that's a good service I would have experienced? No. And although you see me talking about food a lot, I am a foodie. I love food, and we're going to talk about food through a POB. All right. Yes. All my other students, my past students, yes, they know that Miss love food. Yes. So when we speak about indirect services, is how we would have experienced the service. Was it a good service experience? Was it a poor experience? All of this now will reflect on this indirect service. Right? Yes, we all love food. All right, so we're moving on to the next slide, where we are going to speak now of consumers versus producers. So we have consumers, which is a person who purchases goods and services for personal use and plays a vital role in the economy. So just think of a consumer as somebody who not just purchases the good, but they also use the good. So what I did not put on this slide, which I should mention to you guys, is that there's a difference between a consumer and a customer. I mean, they sound the same, right? But could you all think of a difference between a consumer and a customer? I'm going to wait to see if all you have any answers. Consumer uses the goods, right? I'm seeing the answer here. But what is a customer? So if a consumer uses the good, a customer, okay, so I didn't see the answers yet, but I'm going to assist you all here. So a customer is someone who, a person who will just probably enter a business, but doesn't necessarily have to purchase the good from the business. They were a customer. We have customers all the time coming inside a business. But are they going to become a consumer where they purchase the good and consume the good, use the good? So we have that difference. So you all can make a note somewhere in your notebooks, right? A consumer is someone who uses the good, so they purchase and they use it. A customer is someone who may just be a visitor to a business. It just comes in but doesn't have to purchase the good. So a customer doesn't have to purchase the good. They just come, they see what you offer, and they could exit the business without purchasing anything, right? And I'm getting some good answers here. I'm gonna share it here for all the YouTubers, all the people who are going to review these lessons. Shaniqua is also saying a good answer where a customer could also become, yes, a potential consumer, but they're not a consumer until they get the good. Okay, I've seen some long answers here. So you all basically have the gist of it. So that's good. That's good. Producers, on the other hand, is a person that satisfies human wants by the organization of resources to produce goods and services. So a producer will basically make the good. They will produce the good. They will create the good. To satisfy whom? Humans. Right? So that is what the producer will basically do. All right. So we have here some additional terms and concepts. So making sure that you all are on the same page with me. Just give me, let me just respond to some of you guys here. So additional terms and concepts, right? We have some POB terms like producer goods, consumer goods, primary goods, that you all just need to note for your own understanding when we get into further topics now in POB, right? So we have like opportunity cost. You will see this term also in economics. And I know for those who are doing economics, you're going to appreciate the POB notes, because sometimes the POB notes could be just simple. It could just be very simple, whereby the POB notes might be so, the econ notes might be so complex, the POB notes summarizes it a lot better, yes. So opportunity costs, trade or exchange, commodity, we have all these different terms that you all need to note. So I'm going to give you all a minute here to just look at these terms, a minute or two. Just look at these terms, and I'm going to answer any questions that you all have, that you all may have on this slide. All right, so if you all have any other questions, please feel free to, if you don't want to wait till the next class, you all could, in the YouTube link that is in the chat, right? If you have any questions, any comments, please, I would love to hear your feedback throughout this session, these 4 sessions, and moving forward. I want to hear from you all, the comments. If you all have any questions, please feel free to enter it in the comments, in the chat. All right. So we can move on to the next slide. We are almost finished with the first part of the syllabus. So we have here reasons for establishing a business. So starting a business is a lot of hard work. Therefore, persons who decide to start a business must be ready to dedicate a lot of time and energy to its startup. It is also very costly, and therefore capital will have to be identified to inject into a new business, right? So let me ask you guys. So I'm going to pose it here as well. Why would you want to start up your own business? I mean, everyone wants to have their own business eventually later on in life. We won't want to keep working for people. I mean, yes, it's a great opportunity, it's a great experience, but after a while, hey, start your own business. So what are some of the reasons? Okay, so before I even ask, I'm seeing some good answers here coming through. So to make money, which is the main thing, money, profits, money, yes. A better working life. You can control your working life. You are your own boss. So you could decide what time to go to work, but make sure you get the work done. You still want to make your own money, to make your own profits, be your own, yes, boss. All right. To become independent. Very good. Kelly, right? To create employment. So I've seen some, I'm so sure some of these students say, for tonight, I'm going to see you all tomorrow. Please go for economics because you're giving me some good economic answers, right? So to create employment opportunities, very good. Financial independence, so great. I got excellent answers from you all, very good. So those are some of the reasons why you would want to establish a business. And look, we have some here as well for those. You can look at this slide that's going to elaborate a little bit more on reasons for starting up a business. So we have financial independence, being your own boss, use your skills and knowledge for yourself. We have self-actualization, fulfillment, to create employment for relatives, friends, and community members. Yeah, to take risk. I'm seeing another set of answers to take risk. Right? So there are so many reasons. So I have a question for you guys, which is, what are some challenges for establishing your own business? So I'm giving you all some time off air to give me some challenges for establishing your own business. And I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of the challenges for establishing your own business? Right, so I'm just going to repeat the answers that you all just shared with me, these great answers. So to get the money to start up the business, you may not acquire it. Low income to start up the business, lack of capital, seeing some good answers here. The location of the business might be a disadvantage. Workers, you might have lazy workers that you may feel, all right, starting up our own business, you need to have workers, but they may be lazy. Competition, financial challenges, right? So the list goes on after this. Lack of support. Yes. So good. So you all were able to answer all these questions within this session. And I'm quite pleased to say that I am happy to know that you all are okay with this part of the syllabus. So this was the basic part. So we could actually move on to, okay, so that was the end of this session, of this part of the syllabus, that is. So what we can do is So this is just a recap for those who may have any questions while you all are listening to the recordings again. We finished the nature of business, right? Which we looked at the early economies. We looked at, sorry, what is right? So we just looked at, the economic problem. We looked at some definitions, money, what money can offer us in different forms, different fashion. We looked at how money was brought about, the characteristics of money, the functions of money, profit versus losses. Know the difference between them. You're not going to see that this alone in POB, but when we get back to POA Form 5 next week, please God, we're going to be seeing the profits versus losses in statements. When we provide our statements, when we present them, we will determine, hey, did this business make a profit or did it make a loss? How do we go about moving forward if they make a loss? What should they do? Why did they make a loss? Those kind of things. These are the questions and answers that you ask yourself as future business owners. All right. So everything will be provided on YouTube, right? As well as the iLoveLessons website, right? Please have them there, download it if you want, like and share, subscribe. We have more definitions here: trade, organization, economy. We looked at all of these definitions here. So consumers, producers, we set out how there's a difference between a consumer and a customer. We understood this, these different. So I think it was this slide some of you guys wanted to have some clarity on. So we said goods are tangible, services are intangible. And everything here will, yes, be via the Google Classroom, where you all just have to just take a minute of your time, create a Google account, a Gmail account that is. And when September term starts, I will be logging in you guys to get access to the material for the different subject areas, right? You will have the recordings, all classes will be recorded. You'll get the past papers, etc. So we just looked at this and we have just finished the first part of the lecture. Now, the second part, which we can just touch briefly on, we still under we are still under section 1 of the syllabus, but we are looking at, we actually, because you all did so well, we actually could look at the different forms of business organizations. And next class, we will continue by looking at their advantages and their disadvantages. Okay. So I hope you all are making your notes. So we said this just now, what an organization is. And we say it is a system. Just give me a second, you guys. Right. So an organization is a system that groups people together towards establishing a common goal. Business organizations are centered on creating goods and services for profit. So we know this, we just did it. But what we are going to be now introduced to is the different forms of business organizations, right? We have sole trader, we have partnership, we have cooperators, we have companies, conglomerates, multinationals, franchise, and nationalized industries. So can I get some responses from you guys? I'm just gonna have a glimpse via the participant list of those who are familiar with these terms, these forms of business organization. So out of the participant list, can I just get an idea of those? And those who are not familiar with it, you can put your thumbs down, you can have that icon as well. For those who are not familiar with these terms, if I see a thumbs down, then okay, so far. All right. This is just my way of just having a quick idea of if it's new to you guys, if it is not new. I've seen some cry faces, but that's okay. We are journeying with this together. So thank you for the feedback, you guys. Thank you. I'm seeing that. So don't worry, we are going to look at it here now. Sole traders is a type of business organization, right? And anybody want to know what a sole trader is? It's very simple, very, very simple. So don't worry, a sole trader is just someone who owns their own business. Full stop. That's all. A sole trader is someone who owns their own business. They are the owner. That person may employ several other persons to work for them in the organization, but that sole trader is solely responsible for the business. That one person is responsible for everything in the business. We have partnerships. I'm just going to briefly look at, so let me look at sole trader by time. A sole trader, so they may employ several other persons, we said that. But that sole trader will be making all the decisions. They will acquire all the capital required and other resources needed for the business on his own. So yes, a sole trader could be, yes, this owner of a small business, but I'm seeing a good question here from, please forgive me if I pronounce the name incorrectly. Hermione, no, I'm not gonna try. But they are asking, a sole trader, is it for small business alone? What do you all think? Do you think a sole trader could only be responsible for a small business? They could also have a large business. Who is the owner of Facebook? And anybody remember his name? Yeah, Mark. He's a man, just one man, have this huge Facebook account that everybody uses, right? He's a sole trader. I'm sure he may have employed other persons to assist with probably like technical difficulties, right? But yes, Mark is that person who will be like a sole trader, own business owner, right? And they can operate small to medium to large businesses. So what are some of the characteristics of a sole trader? Well, because he manages his own business, that means he will get all the profits, right? He will have to take on all the risk. He will bear all the risk in the business. He would have, yes, closer contact with customers because he's the sole person, he will have to interact with every single customer. So he would have personal contacts with them. Decision making is done by him alone. Good. Great. So we could actually have seen some good answers. So we could go to the next slide. Yes, it's simple. he or she manages the business and may have the help of family and friends. He or she enjoys all the profits and bears all the risk. The sole trader, which I'm seeing you guys giving me some good responses, is that they would also have personal contact with clients, performs a large variety of tasks related to the operations of the business, right? So all of these characteristics just summarizes a sole trader. Yes, Fazia, you are correct that they also face unlimited liability. So the formation of a sole trader business is that there's no legal formalities in the setting up of a business as a sole trader, except for the registration of the trade name. So you want to register your business, all right, you will have to go through the registration process to get a license to legally trade on the market. Whatever goods or services that you're providing, you will need to register that business. So for example, a license is required for the sale of alcohol or for the sale of food items. Good. So sole traders, yes, they are easy to set up. I can be a sole trader come tomorrow. I can have my own business, but I may not obviously succeed. But I can start off by registering it, license it, so that I can be an established business, hopefully in the near future. So we have some advantages and disadvantages, and we will just summarize this last slide. So by next week, we will be continuing with partnerships, and you all know what you all will have to do for next class. You all can start reading up on partnerships, know what a partnership is. What are some of the advantages, disadvantages of a partnership? How are they formed? Go on to companies, go on to conglomerates. You know, we are now preparing for exams. You all could definitely start by doing some reading ahead of class. All right, so when you come, you could ask your questions and I will definitely be here to answer them. So we're just going to wrap up this last slide here for tonight. So the advantages and disadvantages of a sole trader: they enjoy all the profits, ease of formation, no legal requirements, is independence, it is a simple organizational structure, there's personal contact with your clients, personal commitment to succeed. The disadvantages, however, we're seeing that there's unlimited liability. I actually wanted to put this point first, which should really characterize sole traders 100%, is that nature of unlimited liability. So with unlimited liability, we have to understand what it is. I keep saying unlimited liability, but what is unlimited liability? Well, in case the sole trader makes a loss or they're owing money and they can't find the money to now pay off for this debt, personal assets can be repossessed. Meaning, if the sole trader is owing the bank money, the bank could come now and say, okay, you can't pay it off. All right, no problem. We could take your car, we could take your house, we could claim, you all don't laugh at me with this one, we can claim your expensive dog, right? Yes, it has happened. There are very expensive dogs out there that could help settle your debts, your debt obligation, although that is sad. I don't want to give up my dog, no way. But if push comes to shove and the sole trader cannot pay off their debts, guess what? They are going to repossess your personal assets. That is the main and major disadvantage of a sole trader. Whereas if you have limited liabilities, like public limited companies, they would have limited liability. So let's just say these companies go into some kind of lawsuit or they suffer any losses. Personal assets will not be claimed from them. It will not be claimed, right? It is only what they would have invested in the business is what they will just lose. So let's just say they invested $10,000 in the business. Well, $10,000 is down the drain, but they will not come after the company or the owner house or anything like that, right? So when we move on to the rest of the slides, you will see this main disadvantage keep popping up: unlimited liability for some of the different types of entities. Unlimited liability, lack of technology, he will bear all the risk, right? All of these will definitely be seen under the sole trader, these disadvantages. And just a heads up for those who are going to do some extra readings for next class, these disadvantages of a sole trader, some of these disadvantages can become advantages for a partner. So that's a little heads up for next class. So I'm going to end this session here on this slide. When we come next class, we are going to start partnerships. All right. So that's it for this slide. But you all could stay logged in. We are going to chat a little longer, but I'm just going to pause here for a while. And that's it for this session. Okay.